You got to come out there and play with heart, play with passion. And when the first little bit of adversity comes, because it's coming, you cannot fold like cheap tents, man. What's going on, Tar Heel Nation? Nathan and Alan in here. We are your Heel Brothers, and the time is right. We're back in Kenan Stadium, Week 6. North Carolina, the 3-2 Tar Heels are taking on the 4-0 Pittsburgh Panthers at 12 p.m. on ESPN2 inside of Kenan Stadium. Alan, I don't know if we're coming into this game the way that we may have hoped or even thought that we should be coming into this game looking like. Are you excited for the drama that we'll pursue after the game one way or another?
Yeah, I love
drama. Yeah. Good stuff over there, ain't it, man? Oh, man. This is going to be an interesting game, and it is going to test the resiliency of the North Carolina Tar Heels, to say the least. So what do you say, man? You ready to break this thing down? You ready to get into the tail of the tape?
Let's tape the tail.
Pittsburgh opens up as a 2.5-point favorite inside of Kenan Stadium. By the way, North Carolina playing inside of Kenan Stadium against the Pittsburgh Panthers. They have never, ever lost inside of Kenan Stadium. It's a good thing to keep in mind, because that record is on the line this week. Pittsburgh is also, per ESPN matchup predictor, a 62.3% chance of victory. This is the 18th meeting, which feels like it should be a whole lot more than that, but it is only the 18th meeting between the Tar Heels and the Panthers, and Carolina currently leads the all-time series 12-5. Pittsburgh is led by 10th season head coach Pat Narduzzi, who currently has an overall record with the Panthers of 69-50, which is kind of surprising now that I look at that stat, because you would think that they would be a little bit higher than that. But weird times over there at Pitt. Yeah, you always hear about how good Pat Narduzzi is. Pat Narduzzi is, however, introducing a brand new offensive coordinator, Cade Bell. He come out of Western Carolina, and he has been known to be aggressive and dynamic, and is also a close friend of Jeff Collins. Jeff talked about that in his presser this week, and also mentioned that how he went to a Western Carolina game. I believe he is actually a graduate of Western Carolina, and he enjoyed a game and was able to sit there and support his dear friend in Cade Bell. In the offseason, Pittsburgh was able to add 19 recruits and also 12 plus portal players, 4 of them coming in on the defensive line. They also, in the offseason, lost a total throughout after spring ball and the portal window before. They lost 20 players to the portal, but didn't seem very fazed about it at all, and have picked up some really good additions this past offseason that we're going to see on Saturday, that's for sure. One of them being Eli Holstein out of the University of Alabama. He decided to join the Pittsburgh Panthers and has really changed and helped reshape that offense under Cade Bell. Stat leaders for the Pittsburgh Panthers are passing Eli Holstein. He is a 6'4", 225-pound quarterback who is currently 87 of 129, passing for 1,183 yards on the season, 12 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Add on top of that, he is also their second leading rusher on the team with a current total of 189 yards on the season. This guy's got some skates, evidently. Rushing, they have their transfer running back, Des Reed, who is a 5'8" short guy, 175-pound running back. Currently has 44 carries on the season for 319 yards and 1 touchdown. He's currently averaging 7.3 yards per carry. He might be small, but by God,
he's got to be fast.
He's got to be fast. I'm thinking a George Pettaway-ish type guy. I think a guy that's got some skates. We're going to find out coming this Saturday. Unfortunately, we'll see how it goes. But they're receiving. The receiving leader is, I can't say his name at all, so I'm not even going to try and butcher it. I got too much respect for this guy, but it's Mumpfield. He's been there for a little while now. He is a 6'1", 185-pound wide receiver. He has 20 receptions on the season for 315 yards, 3 touchdowns, averaging, are you ready? 15.8 yards per catch.
He ain't doing that Saturday.
That is ridiculous, man. That guy is having himself a time. This past week, Pittsburgh is coming off of a bye week, but their previous game that they played 2 weeks ago was a 73-17 win over Youngstown State at home in Pittsburgh, where Eli Holstein went 16-24 for 247 yards and 3 touchdowns. And one of their backup running backs, Daniel Carter, had 7 carries for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. North Carolina is coming in off of a 21-20 loss at Duke for the first time in 5 years, where in that game they did hold a 20-0 lead in the third quarter and was able to give up 21 straight points to the Duke Blue Devils to lose to them. Jacoby Criswell went 21 of 39 for 251 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. And they were held scoreless outside of the field goal in the second half. Sad, sad day for North Carolina to lose the victory bell, and also for the team as well, because considering all of the rumors and the conversations and the outlash and the backlash and the Twitter back and forth that even I've been in with a ton of different people, it's been an interesting week, a couple of weeks, considering you're coming off of the 70-point debacle against JMU as well. But nevertheless, stat leaders for the North Carolina Tar Heels, passing wise, is Jacoby Criswell leading the team with going 64 for 111. He's thrown for 889 yards on the season, 6 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. That all being in this will be his 3rd game as quarterback, as the starting quarterback for the North Carolina Tar Heels. Yeah. The rushing leader is Omarion Hampton with 114 carries on the season, 658 yards total, and 6 touchdowns. And your leading receiver is J.J. Jones with 16 receptions for 264 yards and a touchdown. This game, Alan, is coming at a bad time for North Carolina, to say the least. Carolina is in a position right now that it hasn't saw itself in a couple of years now, to say the least. I would say the only equivalent you would have to this would be the 6 and 7 season that you had in Sam Howell's last year in 2021, when kind of the wheels just fell off all of a sudden. But this is a different type. Yeah, we had that in that season, but it was a different feel. This is a brand new team. This is probably one of the best. Personally think it's the best coaching staff Mac Brown has put together in his time back with Carolina in 2.0. And I don't think anybody expected the type of performances that we have saw. They may have expected a loss, but I don't think any of them being in any shape, form, or fashion in the way that we've saw them giving up 70 points to JMU, losing that game 70-50, following it up the next week, being up 20-0 against your rival in their house. The fans were their fans were leaving at halftime, and you still find a way to lose that game. So, Alan, let's talk about it, man. We did the scouting report by ourselves this week. Unfortunately, didn't have anybody that would. Yeah, it was real good times, man. I thought we did a good job. I think we held down the place pretty well.
It was excellent.
And if you haven't watched that, be sure and go check that out, where we explain the Pittsburgh team a little bit better, at least best to our knowledge, at least. But we talked about it, and this is a Pittsburgh team that defensively they're going to get after you. You talked about Nate Matlock, or what was his last name? Nate Matlick. I said Matlock. I watched that show not that long ago. That was a good show.
Matlack.
Yes. Who is a transfer that came in. He is their edge. He came in from Kansas State this past offseason, currently on the season, is having a great year. They're getting after the quarterback, and we know that Pittsburgh likes to play physical, and we know how this game has went over the last few years. This is always a game where somebody gets hurt. Somebody gets banged up. Drake May was bleeding a couple of years ago, and you got targeting last year. It's always a back and forth gritty game, and this one's going to provide that for sure. Alan, tell me what you think about this game coming into it. What are you looking at for Carolina that they're going to need to do in order to be able to have a chance to win this game?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. You're going to have to protect Drake May. Holy cow.
Yeah. Maybe we can borrow him from New England. They're not using him right now.
What a foul ball that was. The offensive line has to protect Jacoby Criswell. I mean,
yeah,
you're not going to have any type of success against this team if you're not able to give him some type of just a little time to get the ball out of his hands.
Yeah,
he can't be back there running for his life. Omarion Hampton can't be getting hit in the backfield as soon as Jacoby hands him the ball. And you got to find a way, You got to find a way to give him a little time, an extra second, an extra half a second. But yeah, I mean, Coach, we all know Pat Narduzzi is going to have that defense,
locked and loaded, ready to rock,
riled up, 7, maybe 8 in the box. I mean, who knows? But yeah, that's the glare. To me, that's the most glaring thing. Their defense versus our inability or ability to protect Jacoby and get some form of push in the running game.
Yeah, I'm going to let you lead off with this stat. Go ahead and get it up. But on the other side of the ball, defensively, North Carolina needs to get after the quarterback. I know that you were reading off a stat earlier, and I'll let you read it right here in just a second. But this is a team in the Pittsburgh that leads the ACCs in sacks allowed so far. And what's that total number right now that they have on the year?
They rank 125th in the nation in sacks allowed. Last in the ACC, they've given up 15 sacks in 4 games. They have a redshirt sophomore right tackle, Ryan Baer. I would say his last name is Baer. He's allowed 16 pressures on his own in 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be taking on, I believe that's going to be Dez and Bo's side of the line that they'll go after. So, I mean, in passing downs, I mean, you hope that, we can get some pressure.
Yeah. And if we are able to have Kamen Rucker back as well, that's only going to help.
Yeah, that'll be huge.
Yeah. So not only will Carolina need to, like you said, on the offensive side, be able to find a way to pick up the blitzers that are coming, because they're coming from everywhere. Running backs have to do a really good job on pass protection as well. Picking up anybody trying to weave themselves into any gap to get to Jacoby, to buy him just a little bit of time. Jacoby's going to have to hit the shots this week. He's definitely going to have to hit these shots because Narduzzi's going to leave those corners on an island, and especially if you're able to get a tight end slip. You like our talent over there. So they got some good talent over there. They got some young guys over there that are good and have really shown their worth. So if Jacoby can start putting the ball on the money, and especially deep, I'll say that more or less deep, then that should be good. But defensively, they've got to get pressure on Eli Holstein. They have to keep him in check, because if Eli's a guy that's going to hold the ball a little bit longer to try and make the big play. He's got that Matthew Stafford syndrome in him a little bit. But this is a guy that can slip and beat you with his legs. We saw that 189 yards on the year so far. Their second leading rusher. This is a very similar play style that you saw with Kenny Pickett, their last star quarterback that they had there. A guy that could beat you downfield, but also beat you with the run if you're not careful. So Carolina's really got to keep themselves in check. Gap control is going to be big. This is not a run-first team. It is definitely a pass-first team. You got 6 guys. You got a experienced tight end in Bartholomew, who somehow, some way has his 55th year of eligibility for the Pittsburgh Panthers. I don't know how they do it. I mean, you got McCormick in Miami with, 9 years? This guy with 6 or 7 at this point in time. It's ridiculous, man. He's been there for a flipping long time. But
I love him long time.
I think he's even been there since their ACC championship win in 21, if I remember correctly. I think that was him. I'm pretty sure he was still there then. So, I mean, he's faced Sam Howell. He saw Drake. He's going to see Jacoby. That's just flipping nuts, man.
He got the Holy Trinity.
I was about to say, he will actually have saw all 3 of Carolina's defensive coordinators. All 3 of them.
The unholy Trinity.
Yeah, Bateman, Gene, and Jeff now. That's ridiculous. But, yeah, this is a team in Pittsburgh that's playing with a lot of momentum right now. They are finding themselves. This is probably the best team Pitt has had since the Kenny Pickett year, a few seasons ago. And this will be the best team I think Carolina has faced so far in the season. Duke, I think Duke ranks pretty close with them. And, Alan, we talked about it in the Scout Report. You brought this up, and I'll let you talk about it as well. Pittsburgh's a physical team. The last time Carolina was going into a game that they knew was going to be super uber physical was the Minnesota game. They was able to answer that bell. To that you say?
They're going to have to answer that bell again. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. If Pitt's on the football field, then Pitt's going to have a physical defense.
Amen, brother. That they will.
And the offensive line is just going to have to answer that bell. They got a dog in Willie Lampkin, but
yes, they do.
They're going to have to find 4 more dogs, or it's going to be a long day in Keenan, or a long afternoon in Keenan.
Yeah,
or a short one, depending on what the score is. I don't know.
Yeah, this offensive line looks good in the beginning, but it's starting to see some cracks. Now, unfortunately, I believe some of that has been to some injuries. Austin Blaski's been hurt. He's playing through injuries. Aiden Banfield has had some injuries. And also, I think last week, from what Mac Brown said, he was sick, which is never any good. But, Malik McGowan has been able to come in. He's been able to play. So, they are starting to build up some of that depth. I think really where this is going to come into play is going to be at the tackle position. How well can Howard Sampson and Trey Green hold? Howard Sampson I worry about more than Trey, because Howard is guarding Jacoby's his blind side. He's got to be able to control. We've saw some issues with him, some holdings, and we've saw some issues with it. So
Trey Green has a 0 for a PFF grade in pass protection.
Really?
A 0.
I did not know that. That is crazy.
Yeah, he is. Sampson's not the problem, but Trey Green's struggling.
Trey Green or Sampson?
Trey Green is struggling. 0.0 for a PFF grade in pass protection.
I thought you was talking about Hampton or Sampson. Oh, wow. But still, and he's guarding the front.
The right side.
Yeah, he's. I mean, Colby can see him coming.
He gave up a season high 8 QB pressures against Duke. He's allowed 3 sacks this season.
Wow. Wouldn't surprise me if you see a Ja'Kai Leftwich.
I believe he's banged up.
Is he? And that I did not know. Wow. Injuries on the offensive line that can kill you. So, I think if that's the case.
He was the one that got that holding call in the 4th quarter that led to the 1st and 35 with J.J. Jones' buffoonery.
Yeah, Trey Green, and then you had J.J. Jones chirping at that time too, which is stuff you just can't have. And that's something that Carolina. Now, there was one thing that you said. Now, this was off air, but it was a stat that you read to me that Carolina submitted 6 calls to the ACC. 7? 7 calls to the ACC, and 5 of them came back incorrect.
That's what the ACC said.
So you had 10 penalties on the day. That's half of your penalties. That's ridiculous. That's really ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is ACC officiating, to say the
least. I mean, ACC is officiating as a whole is bad.
Yes. That was ridiculous. So yeah, Carolina's got to keep themselves in check, though. They have to try and do whatever. They have to be uber careful, like super uber careful, to do this. Tell me what your keys are to victory on both sides of the ball for Carolina. Do you want me to go?
Yeah, you can go.
All right, I'll give you mine. Mine really short and simple. On offense, establish the passing game. You got to establish the passing game because that's going to help you be able to establish the run game. If you can keep those safeties from coming down, and you're showing that, hey, I'm hitting these shots, then that's going to force the safeties up. That's going to allow Omari and Hampton to be able to get into the second level. Now they have 2 great linebackers, like you said, but their defensive line does not have many tackles on the season. It's primarily been with the linebacker. So if they can, if they're taking safeties and safeties are having to stick out farther, that leaves Omari and Hampton a chance to be able to get through the first level, get into the second, and I'll take my guy over yours. I'll take Omari Hampton's one of the best running backs in the country, but one of the best running backs yards after contact. If he can get out of the second level up, then you're just playing with house money at that point in time. I want to see some tight end play, and defensively, I want to see Carolina get after the quarterback. I have faith in the corners that they are going to be able to handle their job, but they can't be left out there by themselves on an island forever because Mumpfield's the go-to man, and I'm curious how Collins is going to play him because clearly Mumpfield has been the go-to guy for Eli Holstein, and if they're not being able to get any pressure on Holstein, then Carolina could be in for a long day if he's able to connect with Mumpfield a whole lot. So establish the passing game, which will allow you to establish the run game. And then at that point, defensively, get after the quarterback.
Defensively, I'm going to say you're going to stop the run. Make them beat you one-handed, not with both hands. If a team can rush for 200 and pass for 200, you're going to lose that game.
Yeah.
Just the whole thing was, we're going to stop the run this year. Well, let's stop the run. I mean, we did a great job up until JMU.
Yeah.
So yeah,
run the ball, stop the run.
Defensively, just stop the run. Okay, bring an extra guy in the box if they're just running all over you. You got.
And that's the thing. This team hasn't been run first, so I mean, keeping them under 100 yards, if you look at their games, is not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, they're not really they're getting over 100, but very little over 100. They haven't been run first. Like I said, they've been pass first. So if you really do keep them from running the ball when they are going to try and run, that really helps you. This offense, the way it operates, it reminds me so much of the 2022 Tar Heels with Drake May in his first year. The way we operated, that's what I see out of this Pittsburgh team. And we couldn't run the ball to save our lives with Elijah Green.
He had his moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Secondly, just you gotta bring the physicality on the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
You got to come in this game knowing that they're going to bring pressure. Point out the blitzers, pick up the blitzers. Don't give nobody any free shots on your quarterback. Playing 12 personnel if you have to. 13 if you really got to. I mean, You don't want to have 3 tight ends on the field at all times.
Mm-mm.
But, I mean, you saw a lot of 12 and 13 against Minnesota, and, it worked. But, yeah, I mean, just really set the tone that you're not going to be pumped.
Yeah, you got to bring. This is gonna test your freaking heart, bro. And that's one thing. Carolina's got to come out and set
Minnesota 2.0,
tone, bro.
It's got to be Minnesota 2.0.
Yeah, you got to come out there and play with heart, play with passion. And when the first little bit of adversity comes, because it's coming, you cannot fold like cheap tents, man. You've got to get after it and say, all right, you beat me this play. I'll be damned if it happens the next play. Short-term memory. Got to be going. Got to communicate defensively because we have not done that in the last couple of weeks. Can't be missing assignments. Got to stay on it. Got to hold each other accountable as well. If Cameron Rucker's on that field, I have a better – I feel a whole lot better with him being out there because he's going to be able to be a guy to kind of keep that chaos controlled just in case. So I like that. But Carolina's got to come out. They got to play physical.
And he's a legit
to play
pass
hard.
rusher.
Say what?
And he's a legit pass rusher.
Yes, he is. And I expect our edge rushers to have a day this week. Dez, Bo, Kamen, Ty Thompson, if we see him come in as well to spell for Kamen, I want to see them have a day this week. And I want to see our offense against a tough defense because that's exactly what this is. And if Carolina can do good against this defense, I feel better about them going into next week against a Georgia Tech and things of that nature, or offensively, I'll say.
It's not a good offensive line they're going up against. There's North Carolina, I believe, will have their chances to get in the backfield.
Yeah. And not only that, that a game like this, if you're able to get into the backfield and you're able to get some sacks and you're able to get some TFLs, that's going to boost your confidence going forward, which is good. This team could use one. They could use one hell of a confidence boost. And you could get that this week. You just got to go out there and handle your business and go for it. Please shut guys like me up. Do it. Please do it. I'm going to be doing a live watch party. So I hope you guys are ready. We're going to be doing this thing again this week. Please shut me up. And then if you do it, tweet at Hill Brothers. Say, Nate, we shut you up. And I'll say, you're right, sirs. You're right. I will be so happy. I will be so thankful. And then I'll tell you again, do it again next week. So get out there. Let's knock it out because this season is not lost. Technically speaking, it's not lost. We will see how it goes. You're 3-2, 0-1 in the conference. Nothing but ACC games left to play. Go knock it out. Alan, you got anything to say before we wrap out of here?
No.
You just don't leave.
UNC's disappointing. The Braves look like they're about to get swept in the first round of the playoffs.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
The Braves have been decimated with injuries this year. It's just not good.
If you're new to the Hill Brothers, I promise you, we're not this sad all the time. I promise you.
I mean, at least they made it to the playoffs. They won the very last game of the season to make it into the playoffs.
Oh, you gotta love it. You gotta love Braves talk.
For the 7th year in a row. So, I mean, there is that.
If you're a Braves fan, go to Twitter. Do at Tar Heels 05, I think it is, or Top Gun 1789. I forget which one it is. And tweet at Allen, man. He could use your support if you're a Braves fan. Talk to him.
Epic.
What is that?
They just lost.
Nice. There we go.
Popped up to the catcher the end of season.
Boom.
Way to go.
So if you're a Braves fan and you're at the tail end of this, I know we're not on Pitt or Carolina, but, tweet at the Hill Brothers and, Alan will reply to you and we'll make a thread for you guys. Anyway, let's get out of here. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. Carolina, Pitt, 12 p.m. ESPN2 in Kenan Stadium. If you're going, let us know down in the comments. Man,
I'll be at my 5-year-old soccer game.
There you go. He'll be doing dad stuff. And if you're not, if you're wanting to watch the game, come out and hang out with the live watch party, man. Let's go through this thing together, man. It's going to be an interesting one. Pitt fans are also welcome as well. And we're going to have a good old time. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. And as always, go Heels.
Go Heels.